In today's workout, we're going to be completing 2 parts. One part is going to be very technical, and the other part will still be technical, but it's going to be something that's a little bit more manageable. Our workout today starts off with 15 rounds. It starts off with 1 strict ring muscle up, and then it's followed by 5 burpees. Once you finish those 15 rounds, you're going to move directly into 15 burpee ring muscle ups. This workout is going to be challenging, but it is going to be something that is going to allow us to kind of move through some technical parts and maybe some things that you have been a little caught up on with the amount of skills and scales that we're going to be doing. Now, on the first part, we are going to be doing that strict muscle up. A strict muscle up does not mean that it's slow. It just means you only get to use your arms. Starting from the hang position, you'll be able to lift and raise your chest a little bit behind the rings. And then as we pull, we're going to pull somewhere to the sternum or underneath the armpit before we press down and transition on top, then completing a dip. Now, again, that's going to be something that's very challenging. However, we can go ahead and scale this. If you have kipping ring muscle ups, you can absolutely do that. We can also do a jumping muscle up, and that's going to start with the rings somewhere about head height. All right, we can kind of change the range of it from mid-chest to above the head, but it's going to be something similar to this. And now, when we set it up, just be mindful that if you are to a bar that's a little on the closer side, you just have to be careful when you dip out. All right, if you're at Training Yard, don't worry, we have some higher bars than what we have here outside, and we will go ahead and have those set up on those. If we're going to transition to like a jumping muscle up, that means we're going to start with that false grip. Elbows are going to be nice and close. From here, we're going to crouch down. We're going to jump our chest up and get into that dip. From here, we're going to go ahead and adjust that dip and go all the way up. And again, we want to make sure that we're mindful of our head, okay? The higher the rings are, the more challenging it's going to be. And so when we're doing this, I want you to really focus on really getting that ring path to be tight to the chest and really get that as low as you can before you transition. You will complete the dip at the top before you've come down off of those rings. Now, if that's too challenging, we also have another ring option. We actually have 3 options that we can do. This one is going to require a box, and it's going to allow you to use your legs a little bit. This set of rings are going to be about chest height. Again, we'll still have that false grip. Your feet are going to go on top of that box with a bent leg. We're going to lay parallel to the ground. And then from here, using the hips, the legs, and the big giant pull, we're going to do a ring row, and then we're going to pull ourselves up and around. We'll go ahead and complete the dip, and then lower ourselves back down. You can either lower back down to the next rep, or in this case, you'll lower so that you can get to the burpee. Now, we want to make sure that we're going through the same mechanics. We're not putting our shoulder into a funky spot. So remember, on both of these scales, we're going to pull to somewhere about where my stomach and my rib cage meet, and then we're going to be able to split those rings in half and pull them underneath those armpits. Now, the final scale in this, before we move to a more traditional style of scaling, is going to be these rings. They're adhered to the bar with these bands. These bands are very small. They're little micro bands. They don't provide a lot of tension. You can go ahead and secure these like this. You can also put the bands around the rig and around the rings, not using the straps. We have some carabiners here, so it allows us to attach it pretty quick. What we're going to do here is you're going to be from the seated position, so your body isn't going to actually move, but your arms will. So we'll sit in this position. From here, we'll get that good false grip. From here, we're going to go ahead and lean back, pulling to our sternum, pressing through, getting these rings underneath, and then pressing the rings all the way down to that locked out position. From here, we're going to come back in to that dip. We're going to rotate and lean back, and then slowly bring those rings back and over our head. Okay? This is going to give us an opportunity to work on the transition part of the ring muscle up, and maybe in the future you'll be able to have that comprehension and be able to go ahead and move through it. If that's not your thing, then we're going to go ahead and either scale to a strict pull-up, okay, or a banded strict pull-up. And this is going to be 1 for 1. You complete 1 strict pull-up, you go over to the dip bars, and you're going to complete 1 strict dip. Okay, so it's going to be back and forth. You have to do 1 strict pull-up, whether it's banded or otherwise, and then 1 strict dip to satisfy that. All right, and again, that means that you can either band 1, both, or none. All right. The final transition is going to be that banded pull-up. We can also do a ring row if the ring row is not working for you, and a bench dip. So we can scale this a lot of ways. All right. And then once we get to those burpee ring muscle ups, you're going to be able to kip the muscle up. If you don't have muscle ups and you are going to be continuing through this workout, you're going to do a burpee chest to bar pull up, a burpee kipping pull up, meaning we do the burpee, you must pass through the full range of motion on that kipping, meaning extension through the arms. We can do a burpee jumping pull up. That means you're going to get to a bar that's a little on the shorter side, so that when you stand up, you can have your arms bent and jump your chin over the bar. And then finally, the lowest scale is going to be a burpee to 4 C's and D's. So if that's the scale that you're going to do, you'll do your burpee, you come up, and you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and back down. All right? Again, we understand that this is a highly technical movement, and it is something that is going to be challenging. You need to pick the one that is the most challenging today, and I hope that you have found a new skill to unlock when we're done with this session.